Now we just get to a matter of updating our questions. And we'll do the same type of thing where we copy, go to our flow step 1, double click, paste. All right. And we're getting rid of all of the previous entries and copy and pasting all of our entries as we'd like them. And now that we see how some of the text is actually laid out, we can make any other adjustments that we'd like as far as stylistic adjustments are concerned. We've got our particular font. Let's say we don't want the set width. So we'll actually come through and we'll get rid of the width on each of these. Now, what you look at, obviously the teardrop stands out compared to everything else. When we see these different teardrops, if we wanted to take a deeper look at what goes on, we actually do have different color coordinated teardrops to correlate to different adjustments. So if you've got any layouts or stylistic changes, when we're looking on that list page, it'll be a little bit easier to see. But when we have our submit button, we hover over it and we've got obviously our styles and behaviors that have been applied to it. And if we look at our different text, if we hover over that icon there, we'll see that that one has a style applied to it. So what we can do, let's say I already really like how things look. Obviously, I can just copy paste this throughout the rest of the experience. But what I also have the option and availability to do is save this, whether it's creative wide, I want to save my progress, or if I want to save just this particular form field that I've been playing around with as a snippet. That means every time I access this particular snippet, I can pull that into any of my future experiences. So let's say we've got this as simple for question or for answer quiz question. If I want to put it under forms, I can. If I want to add in a description, I can. But what I can then do is if I have any other stylistic changes that I would like, obviously getting rid of that will be great. But then I can grab it from my basics template or the basics menu. I can grab this snippet and drag it right into this portion of my flow experience. So we'll do that with a few of these just to speed this along. There we go, just the one. And you know what? This one also has a layout saved to it. But now that we'll get rid of all of that, we'll get our audience into, sorry, audience creative content for, and we need to get these saved in here as well. It's a really handy thing to put yourself into a split screen perspective for this type of a task. And we'll go back to our Creative Studio and content for target audience for target content for. Shift paste. And I think I'm going to get rid of the maybe I'll get rid of the center line. I'll do that here towards the end. But either way, we'll continue on and we'll get all of our copy where it needs to be. So we'll just go up into form field, get rid of that one. This choice group, I've deleted it, so I need to change that back to answer 2. And choice is A, B, C, D. Answer 2 or question 2. Perfect. We'll do the same thing for each of the subsequent questions, and we'll be ready to go through the logic on the back end here in no time. Okay. Yeah, I don't like that layout, so we'll go to the choice group. Get rid of our width. And I also don't like that center line on that one, so we'll get rid of that on each of those as well. But for our copy, we'll just get this in here quickly. And then we'll make those adjustments in a little bit more expeditious fashion with some of our shortcuts. 4, scalability, 0 to 1. Now we go to question 4. And the last one on question 4. Okay, so there's 4. We should have one more section to update for the copy. Format, content to use most in your strategy. See, you can see the formatting when I don't use the shortcut correctly with the Control Shift to delete, to paste it without that formatting. So we'll come in, just get rid of that formatting with that button there. We can just static, and I don't know much about interactive content. All right. So we've got all of our landing page copy ready to go. And now we have our submit button. We can start to put things together from a perspective of how do we get things to be lined up with our logic for our results. Before we do that, I will go through really quickly and just make sure that we have the same similar formatting for everything as we went through. We decided not to go along with that center alignment for anything in here. Go up to and center align. Get rid of this as well. Okay, so we've got a couple of things to get rid of on these. Layout, we also want that margin out of there. Or excuse me, the width to be undefined. Down, no center align, layout. Get rid of our width. this should be right there, ready to go now. Center line, layout. And as you're going through, obviously you can go in and make adjustments or edits to your snippets, but for the purposes of getting this done quickly, just get this updated really quick and move along to the results. Margin gap. All right. So now what we can do is take another look at how things have come along so far. So we've got our copy where we'd like it to. We have already put our formatted questions into the different flows, and we know that we've gone through in the process of our construction. We've made sure that each of the respective sections correspond to their respective data fields or data variables. So we've got our different questions. I've assigned different values. And then if we go into our different choices, we know that question 1 correlates to answer 1. Question 2, which we see down here, also has our different entry points for choice being B for our resulting scoring, and then answer field will be answer 02 for our data purposes. Now, to add in a few other things, we obviously have some spaces here for some imagery. We haven't really made any modifications to the background for our preliminary landing experience, except for that blue background for our sake, honestly. So what we'll do is we'll come in here. We know that we're asking about how do you plan your overall content marketing strategy? So what we can do is select on that image, which is part of our wireframe. We can either make edits to this if we want to, but more than likely what we'd like to do is go back and reselect a new image. And so if we wanted to go through something that's specific to this campaign or something that's specific to what's already included in this creative, we can filter our different images in that case. Otherwise, we have our different categories that have been created in our backend dashboard. If we don't have the image that we'd like, or if it's only stored on our local machine, we have the option of adding different images as well. If we wanted to add this GIF, we obviously have the option to make any adjustments to our sizing. If we want to constrain proportions for anything that does need to be proportionate, if we do have any cropping that we'd like to do, we can constrain things a little bit more, emphasize strategic implements there. And likewise, if we wanted to have something that's going to be optimized, we always want to make sure that we have this one optimized, especially for a responsive experience. And if you do, obviously click in here, add in your alternative text for your ADA compliant functionality. There we go. Got our first image. We've got our GIF added, and we'll do something very similar for each of our subsequent images here. Double click and click reselect here. We go like this one, and we see that we've got something quite a little bit funky here. Optimize this one. We want change the proportions here. Actually, we'll change the height. The height's going to be something we'll want. So 270 on that one. All right, we'll do 270 on each of the subsequent ones. Come down one more. We've seen this one, scale of 1 to 10. How scalable is your content marketing strategy? We'll reselect. Let's think here. Scale, ABM, I think we have. Actually, and we'll actually add that one from our local device. And don't forget to change our height. And how satisfied. There we go. Beautiful. Things are really starting to come together here. Nope, we got a few more pieces of formatting to adjust. No more center align layout. Get rid of our width. And a few more times. Center layout width, delete. There we go. Now we've got everything put in the right position. We have a few opportunities to explore if there are some stylistic adjustments that we would like to make. So obviously we're missing a picture. I'll get that added in here very quickly. This question is, maybe we want this one for our brand styling. Okay, there, get rid of our download bar. Nice. Cool. So as we come through and we see all of our different questions are really starting to take shape, we've got different imagery that's been added in. Everything looks like it's got some consistency to it. If we are obviously not predominantly concerned with time, then we know that based on the scale that we have from 1 to 10, maybe we don't want to have on our next iteration, we don't want to have something that's just A, B, C, or D. Obviously, with Ion, you've got a lot of different options for the different entry methods. So for different forms, we can come in and make different text boxes if we'd like to allow them to type in specific entries. Likewise, if they've got different choice groups, or if we wanted to add in something like a slider, we could obviously make that same type of designation from the slider behaviors and the slider data range that we would obviously be wanting to input here. So if we have a range minimum from 0 or from 1, actually let's say from 0 to 10. And then we have steps of 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. And then we would have to actually enter in this case, scalability for answer for question 2, or excuse me, for answer 3. So we would have a different level of variation that we would have for our answer 3. The only problem that we have here is that for our resulting calculations, or at least the logic that we've been provided, we know that we have basically a simple count, where if we have more A's, we have a particular result that we would like to display. If we have more B's or C's or D's, we have different results that we will display for B, C, and D respectively. So having this slider may change a few different options that we have. So we would actually need to configure what does 0 or 1 mean as opposed to 2, 3, or 4. And so this, although it may make things a little bit better for and next iteration for some more aesthetically engaging types of interactive components, we'll actually leave this one out because we know that we have the calculations will be made easier if we leave them in the ABC formatting that we have.